is the ordinary man's hobby and summer sport. It has a following of at least 250,000 fanciers in the British Isles alone. Practically all their birds are kept in garden lofts. The bottom of the garden, as far as possible from other buildings, is the most favoured position. It's an outdoor hobby, but one that keeps a man at home. There's something relaxing about the atmosphere of a loft. Steelworkers and miners probably know it best. In an area where men are employed in the gloom of industry, it's small wonder they find solace and relief in gazing skywards. The number and variety of pigeon fanciers is increasing. Their gaily painted lofts catch the eye in the most unlikely places. Whether in the heart of a city or away from it all in a coastal village, the fancy, as it's called, has never been more popular. This young man is just one of the many hundreds of new enthusiasts entering the world of pigeon racing every year. He has all he needs: 6 pairs of new stock and a loft he built himself in his spare time. The rest of a beginner's accessories are a matter of choice. Some nest bowls, drinking fountains, a training basket, and a good second-hand clock. As a northern fancier, the next step is to become a member of the National Homing Union by joining the nearest affiliated club. For example, throughout Northumberland, Durham and North Yorkshire, there are some 20 separate federations and 148 clubs comprising the Up North Combine, founded back in 1905. There's much more to the sport than most people think, and much more to pigeons too. There's a world of difference between town pigeons, the ones we see every day in our cities, and selectively bred racing pigeons. The difference is in the breeding. A visit to one of the classic shows held during the exhibition season helps us to appreciate the finer points of racing pigeons as a breed. Winter pigeon shows, like the North of England Homing Union's annual show in Newcastle, offer a day out for fanciers and their families anxious to learn more about their sport. Some show homers, with their exaggerated styles and poses, are certainly eye-catching. They're examples of the clever show breeder's art. But the true long-distance strain of pigeon, the racing homer, is a particular breed. Again, there's a great deal to be learned by studying the exhibits among the racing types. There you'll see what is meant by condition. Neck and hackles, a mass of bloom and sheen. The tightness and quality of feather that only an abundance of good health and breeding can produce. There's no definite standard for a show racer, so what does a judge look for in choosing a good bird? I like a bird with a good eye. It should be high on the skull and protected from rain and strong sunlight by the cere or circle of white skin surrounding it. The feathers should be a sort of silky texture. It's got about 2,000, and the wings should be supple and easily opened, like beautiful fans. Wings control flight, while the tail acts as a rudder and an elevator. It keeps the bird on a steady course. The best ones are a bit short and light like the neck. The average weight of a long-distance racing pigeon is about 15 ounces, a pound you might say. Myself, I like a good egg-shaped body, well balanced, with a little extra weight in the front. The exhibition side of the sport fills the gap between the end of the racing season and the start of another breeding season. Each spring, upwards of 150 million racing pigeons are bred. Most eggs are white, sometimes with a buff or creamy tinge, 1 or 2 to a clutch. Short lengths of hay or straw placed in each nest box are used by the birds as nesting material for their nest bowls. Incubation takes about 18 days, and even the cock in this case takes his turn at sitting. Newly hatched young pigeons, squabs as they're called, are clad in hair-like down, sparse enough usually for the bare skin to show through quite plainly. When they're 7 to 10 days old, most fledglings are large enough to be fitted with their official identification ring. Within a few days, it'll be impossible to remove it over the ankle, and from this time on, each day sees rapid progress in growth. The sire and his dam produce crop milk, or pigeon's milk, and supply it to their young for the first week of life. In the early stages, both parents participate in the feeding of their young, a surprising fact about pigeons. Soon, the nestling down is replaced by the first set of true feathers, the juvenile plumage. By the age of 2 to 4 months, the complete, fully coloured adult plumage is assumed. Now, the weaned young pigeons, the fancier calls them squeakers, take up residence in the young bird section of the loft. As young birds, they soon feel their wings by taking short flights around the loft area. They learn early in life what's expected. Two flights each day are sufficient at the beginning. The art of feeding pigeons is to give them only enough food to last until the next meal. Choosing the right diet is helped by a visit to a pigeon food specialist. One British firm alone sells 800 tons of seed a month to pigeon fanciers. It might be beans, sunflower seeds, or a mixture of tick and Tasmanian maple peas. Soon, hard food like maize is introduced into the diet to sustain growth and feathering. Whatever the food, good racing pigeons need protein for healthy muscles and good feathers. Intelligent, well-balanced feeding can really bring success to the keen sportsman. As a general rule, fat pigeons are slow pigeons. Lean pigeons fly faster. Predicting a bird's health depends on the choice of pigeon house design and strict loft cleanliness. Selecting the most suitable loft can be all-important. Most people prefer to own one, but some lofts are available for rent. Vaux Breweries, for example, the proprietors of the Copper Beech Inn at Darlington in County Durham, rent to local fanciers a series of well-designed lofts. The Copper Beech lofts provide ideal accommodation, easy access, and good ventilation. One feature is the arrangement for quick trapping. All-round speed, once arrivals touch down at their loft on race days, is vital to an owner's success. Another alternative, if you're a handyman, is to design and build the loft yourself in your own time. For the loft proud, there's the elaborate loft of more advanced design, immaculate in appearance, stoutly built to last, and easy to keep clean. This loft is conveniently laid out to ensure ease of access to the individual compartments. The ground plan, position of the perches, boxes and air vents, and the trapping and lighting arrangements not only look good, but they're also effective and practical. The best layout ensures that the runway to the loft is never impeded by obstacles. The sighting of the loft, and sometimes even its colour, can save valuable seconds at the clock-in on race day. Many and varied are the methods employed to achieve speed in trapping, from visual attraction by fantails to guiding the birds through the let with the help of long canes. And of course, no loft should neglect the comfort of the bird owner himself. Right, you've got a loft. Your birds are hatched, on the wing and flying strongly. Now to train them for racing. Training is really all a matter of practice, doing the same thing over and over again, day after day. Ideally, both the man and his pigeons should train together. Sometimes, the hardest part in training young birds is to get them accustomed to recognizing the exterior of their loft so they can locate it easily. Once the young birds are on the wing for periods of a half an hour or more, they can then be released away from home at ever-increasing distances. Each federation can provide transport for group training and local exercise flights on a regular basis, but many owners use their own vehicles instead. The system thoroughly accustoms young birds to the basket and handling. Some owners, working alone, start their first release, it's known as the toss, at about a mile, but they rapidly go up to 25, 30 or even 50-mile stages from all points of the compass around the home lofts. It's often an advantage to have someone at the home end to get the birds into the loft as soon as they return. Many a wife or mother has become as keen on the sport as her husband or son. A racing pigeon is a more remarkable bird than most people realize. Its sight is prodigious. It normally has as much as 20 times better sight than a human eye. Once, a favorite theory to explain a pigeon's homing instinct suggested that sight alone accounted for the phenomenon. The bird, it was said, memorized landmarks such as coastlines, rivers and lakes, even ruins and church steeples. That theory is no longer held, but what does enable the racing pigeon and other birds to return has long intrigued generations of fanciers and is still unexplained. For breeders, the eyes of a pigeon have another significance. Many pair birds selectively by their colour. Genetics, the study of heredity, helps us to understand the eyes of the great families. The secret is in the circle of correlation, which surrounds the lower left quadrant of the pupil. A good eye sign doesn't ensure a winning bird. On the other hand, no top-class racing homer is without it. In some strains, certain eye colorations in many shadings are predominant. A prize blue cock with violet-red eye sign. Another blue cock, 9 years old, with violet-purple eye sign. Even an occasional black eye. Modern racing pigeons are the result of creatively breeding these and other varieties to produce all the attributes of a champion. A classic head, a fiery sparkle in the eye, and snow-white sears. The day for basketing youngsters for their first race is one of the great events in their young lives. The difference between young bird and old bird racing is that the youngsters are raced unpaired, solo racing if you like. To prevent fraud, all the entries are marked with a numbered race band or rubber ring on a special machine that expands the rubber race ring and shoots it onto and around the bird's leg. The official who marks each competitor's race sheet registers in duplicate the particulars on the rubber ring against each bird. The ring numbers match with identical paper tallies. The individual club entries are race marked, collected into separate club envelopes and sealed. Now the sealed envelopes are signed by an official in the presence of a witness. The young bird program usually begins about the 3rd week of July, during the height of the pigeon racing season between April and September. Meantime, the competing birds are segregated into cocks and hens, as well as club sections. Now the baskets are sealed, and the birds given a drink before departure. At last, the birds are ready to be transported in willow wicker baskets, 20 birds in each. The point selected for the release is Selby in North Yorkshire. From marking centres throughout the Federation area, transporters head for the race start point. Back at home, just as many safeguards apply to each competitor's clock. On the night before a race, at the local club centre, each race clock is set with the Federation master timer, then locked and sealed. All the members' clocks are set and synchronised before the race by an impartial clock committee and the official master timer. Behind are the preparations, but ahead is the race itself. The midsummer weather is good, visibility clear. Conditions are ideal for the liberation, usually the simultaneous release of the flock. In the history of the sport, the North has played a big part. The first pigeon race ever officially recorded in England was held in 1875 from Newcastle to Bexhill in Sussex. Since then, many pigeon races have been won at speeds of more than a mile a minute. They're on their way, winging for home. Back at the home end, fanciers and their friends await the first arrivals. In a young bird race, placings usually depend on quick trapping. And down they come. Seconds often divide the first 5 or 6 placings. Once a pigeon is home, the rubber race ring is speedily removed, placed in a thimble, and then fed into the clock to record the time of arrival by puncturing revolving dials or imprinting the time on paper rolls. For the fancier, the real sport only extends over a few summer months. Saturday afternoon and each weekend throughout the pigeon racing season, the race procedure never varies. Later, attention focuses on each Federation clock centre, where, a few hours after the race has been flown, the competitors' clocks are struck off against the master timer to find the winner. Variations in each competitor's clock are arrived at by an accurate calculation and allowed for in ascertaining the actual flying time of each bird. Exchanging clocks like this is an extra precaution in a foolproof system devised to decide the fastest pigeon, as well as the position of the rest of the prize and pool winners. Each clock is opened individually for the removal of the thimbles and time discs. Meanwhile, the sealed envelopes and the race ledger are produced again for checking. Now, the ring particulars and the numbered slip are compared. By calculating the actual flying distance divided by the actual flying time, the average velocity in yards per minute is obtained for each bird. To these men, the fancy comes first. It's a way of life, and they never tire of talking about it, especially the theories about the pigeon's homing instinct.
Well, I read a report from a loft report on Major Buckingham, Joffrel and Buckingham, the well-known flyers, and they contend that, according to the article, mind, that if there's anything in the garden at the beginning of the racing season, they'll leave it there, because they say that this emits rays and they won't move it on any circumstances.
Just any old rubbish or anything.
So in fact,
Anything.
This comes back to life. He's got pigeons at the home in emitting raised birds flying.
A man who keeps pigeons, he can really think of nothing else but pigeons while he's there with them, and it comes into the family. There are 6 of us in our family, and we're all interested in them now, but at first we thought, oh my goodness, you know, pigeons.
Oh, well, that's one of the biggest thrills there is, seeing the bird come out of the sky and straight down and through the loft. That really is a great thrill, that, when you're able to clock. But to me, I'm just as thrilled as long as they all get home. I just don't like to not see a bird get home and wonder what's happened.
And what happened was, to do that velocity, that bird must have flown through the hours of darkness, which are normally from 11 o'clock till 4 in the morning. And what did that bird navigate by? The moon.
The first thing you do is go in the loft and let them out, and then while they're having a fly round, you clean them out and get the food and everything ready for them. I mean, they're cleaned out every day, but on a race day I scrub the floor, you know, and make it look what I think they'll like flying back to, a nice clean loft.
You know, they're rather beautiful if you do have a really good look at them. A person who, like I was myself about this, a pigeon was just another bird, but it's not like that. There's more to it than that. There's an awful lot to it.
And now, a big day and a big event. A cross-channel race from France. Before the great day, throughout Scotland and the north of England, hundreds of pigeon men bring along their birds to the marking centres. Every year in the north, the top race in the old bird season is the international cross-channel race for the Vauxgeld tankard. The birds are competing not only for the tankard itself, but also £2,000 in prize money. The occasion always has a gala day atmosphere. For the serious fancier, a cross-channel race is the highlight of the season. With the grain on board, the convoy is just about ready for the road. Now, with transporters loaded, the vehicles assemble at the depot headquarters, the rally point for the journey to France. The watchful eyes of a professional chief pigeon convoyer in charge of the liberation measure the task ahead as he receives advice from up-north combine officials. With 19,000 birds to care for and transport by road and sea to France, he's a man with a lot on his mind. Down the motorway they go, to the south coast and the Channel Ferry. Even further from home they travel, on into the night towards Newhaven and the crossing to Dieppe. Until next day, they reach their destination, Beauvais. A good time to remember that the word pigeon is itself of Norman French origin. Now it's early morning on the day of the race. Time for breakfast, quickly followed by a breakfast drink for the birds. And now the flaps are opened. Will there be a toss? Only if the weather's right, and that's the chief convoyer's decision. Weather is always a decisive factor, too important to be left to guesswork. Official reports are sent in from 15 weather stations back in Britain.
Well, the prospects for today's race are better than last time, but here are the details. First of all, the forecast for the release. The wind will be southwesterly, 12 miles per hour. The visibility, 5 miles. The weather, sunny intervals. And the cloud, 5/8, base 2,000 feet.
Yes, that sounds favourable. Now the time is 6:15 on a June morning, and the secondary strings are cut, ready for the liberation. A signal from the chief convoyer, and the race is on. One of the sport's biggest thrills is seeing a race flock take off into the blue, up and away. Best racing conditions often fit in with the breeding cycle. For example, when hens are sitting and hatching or cocks are mating. Hatching is usually agreed to be the best time. The psychology of conditioning for racing is to create an anxiety in the mind of the bird. Pigeons will always make the most incredible efforts to return home from long distances, so great is their love of mate and young. The flock soon reaches its ceiling, the altitude at which the pilot birds think they can best navigate a homeward course. 2.5 minutes after the liberation, an almost clear sky. Miraculously, the flock has vanished from sight. Now they're leaving France behind. Across the channel, the weather's ideal. The wind slightly warm, sunshine, good visibility. On the wing, a full-grown pigeon can race 750 miles on the day. They tend to flock together. Some are known for their exceptional powers of endurance, others for rapidity of flight. At the home end, all that's to be done is wait and watch and hope. For the fanciers, their thoughts are with their pigeons, wherever they are. This is the long, tense wait. Time is now on the wing. At the Skinning Grove Works in North Yorkshire, another change of shift. Men clock out from work and leave for home to join their partners at the loft to clock in their birds. Up the coast they come, heading for home. Between April and September, over the rooftops of Britain's cities and towns, fields and villages, upwards of 2.5 million pigeons race homewards every year. "4:30 p.m. and now the birds have crossed the sea and most of England to reach the North Yorkshire coast. The flock, or drag, normally breaks up over the home area. This is where training tells, for the fastest bird to trap without delay may be the winner. Game to the end. He almost walks the last yard. And now, another flock breaks up. Quick trapping is a contest between a bird and its owners. The stakes are high, which makes it easy to understand the need for all-round speed. On the other hand, some owners prefer to coax the pigeon home without exciting the bird. By 6 p.m, nearly all the northeast birds are back. The rest fly on throughout the evening, over the border and into Scotland until last light. The 9th Vaux Usher pigeon race is over. All the birds are home. And after careful checking, the overall winner of another Vaux Girl tankard is found. Its loft is at Felling in County Durham. All that remains is the official verification. The secretary of the Up North Combine visits the winner's loft to meet the owner on his home ground. Now he checks the identity of the bird. And as a final proof of ownership, he tosses it and waits for it to trap. To win the race, the pigeon covered 530 miles at an average speed of nearly 42 miles an hour. Another winner. Another prize presented this time at the annual Up North Combine dinner. The rewards of the sport are worthwhile, and there are many of them, from cups and trophies to the cash prizes on the night of the annual share-out. But in the north, the Vaux Gold Tankard is the most sought after of all.
Well, we would like to win the Vaux Gold Tankard or some other big race. We did come 2 years ago, 27, out of about 5,000 birds, which wasn't too bad.
The trophy, then, for the International Vaux race is unique in the annual pigeon racing calendar. Now the climax of the year, the annual dinner to the sportsmen of the north of England. Host for the occasion is the chairman of Vaux Breweries, Mr. Douglas Nicholson. Before a star-studded gathering, he presents another gold tankard for pigeon racing. Next year, the prize will be eagerly competed for all over again. It's the end of another pigeon year, but past performances only act as a spur to new achievements.